This podcast contains language that is not appropriate for children, including shit, douche canoe, scruffy-looking cockroach blender, and sperm voyeur.
Tonight's episode of the Science Enthusiast podcast is brought to you by circumcision. Circumcision, for when you want to mutilate your baby's dick because reasons. Hello, and thank you for listening to the Science Enthusiast podcast. My name is Dan, and as always, I am joined by my friend Natalie.
Hey, what's up?
How are you doing on this evening?
It's Monday.
People don't know what time it is. It could be fucking
Monday.
like 5 a.m.
No, we do not do 5 a.m. It is 8:23 p.m. I'm okay. I'm a little cold-ish, sick-wise, obviously, because I sort of sound like shit, but I'm okay. I had a good weekend. I heard rumblings of your weekend. I had a good weekend. I went to New York and I participated in Skeptic Camp put on by New York City Skeptics, and I did a little presentation about Science Moms, the movie that I'm making, and it went well. But did I actually tell you that I had actual technical difficulties, and the video for the trailer wouldn't play, and it was kind of fucked up, and I guess instead of standing there I was completely a deer in headlights or just start crying, I just kept talking. So I guess I did all right.
I'd say that is the opposite of the Dan Broadbent story. Dan Broadbent would have just broken down, cried, and walked off the stage.
Well, I'm glad that I kept my composure in that moment, because beforehand though I was thinking to myself, that fucking trailer is not gonna play because the Natalie Newell story, but I guess because I kind of had this feeling that something would fuck up. When it did, I just was able to roll with it, and it seems like people are gonna respond well to the movie, so I don't know, it was a really cool feeling to do that, and thank you for New York City Skeptics for putting on such a cool event, and I'm really stoked I was part of it. So,
kind of got
fun stuff.
You kind of got invited to maybe something, or are we not supposed to talk about it yet?
You know what? Let's everybody thoughts and prayers that good stuff comes out of this, or just thoughts, because we know that prayers are just go into one big flaming dumpster.
We'll consider that to be a tease to the tease that might be the tease.
Yeah, let's hope
January
that life's good. Yeah, something. Yeah.
Well, speaking of thoughts and prayers, that's what we call a segue.
That's what we call a segue. Fan-fucking-tastic, Dan.
Who is our God of the week?
All right, so our God of the week, we are going back to Egypt, because I just like Egyptian gods and goddesses.
Yeah, because didn't we do Ra last week?
I know, and you know what, I realized that, but fuck it, whatever. We're just in Egypt. The God of the week is Set, and he is the Egyptian god of chaos. And listeners who have suffered through however many episodes we've done, from the beginning, they will notice parts of this story because it's been brought up before. So what's interesting about Set is in art and whatever, here's how he's depicted. Donkey ears, a scorpion tail, and the head of a mysterious Egyptian aardvark, or he could turn up as a hippo with the jaws and tail of a crocodile. So that's just weird. But about him and his personality.
I mean, again, it's almost like they just make this shit up as they go.
It's totally, it totally is like that. But so here's the thing. He was kind of a dick. He was the one who killed former God of the Week, Osiris. He chopped up Osiris. He scattered him all over Egypt, all over Egypt. And then, if you remember from the story that I told ages ago, but why would anyone actually remember that? Osiris's lady Isis collected all the pieces of Osiris that Set had scattered all over, except his dick was lost. So maybe Set hid the dick somewhere. and just didn't want it to be found. But Osiris ended up getting a golden replacement for that dick, so it's not all bad. So Osiris was dead. People were pissed off about it, especially Osiris's son Horus. So Set and Horus eventually engaged in this 80-year battle because Horus obviously wanted to avenge his father's death. So anyways, they have this battle. Set was a dirty fighter, so he just went and tore out one of Horus's eyes, but Horus was pretty much like, fuck you for killing my dad, and he tore off Set's testicles. So I guess, like, checkmate Horus. Some of the other gods decided that deserved a victory. So Horus won this 80-year battle. Hooray. And Set just got sort of exiled up to Ra's upper realms and became the voice of thunder. So, I mean, I guess that's not horrible. He got to just go be thunder up with Ra, former god of the week, too. I mean, I guess we're just covering all of the Egyptian gods because I think their stories are kind of cool. But that's it. And you know what? Any chance I have to bring Osiris's golden dick back into things, I take it. So I had to.
I mean, I think I speak for humanity as a whole when I say the world needs more golden dicks.
Tonight we are thrilled to be joined by Chris Kluwe. Chris is the author of Beautifully Unique Sparkle Ponies and Prime. He's a former NFL punter, he's an activist, and he's a seemingly huge fan of World of Warcraft. Just a guess from Twitter. Well. So welcome to our show, Chris. Thank you for joining us in post-Trump America.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Let's enjoy the world while it lasts.
Yeah, totally. Like we are here to have a good time and hopefully prevent it all from burning to the ground. So before we get into that whole thing that happened a week ago, because we are recording this a week after the election happened.
Day 7 of Trump's America.
Yeah, so that's how we're going to just mark time from now on, because why not? Chris, can we just kind of get started by talking kind of about your entry into the world of like social justice advocacy? Because like obviously we know you're a football player, but I know you more as sort of a proponent of, just activism and social justice, and I know that kind of comes from experience in the NFL that you had.
Yeah, so I originally became, I guess, notorious or known when in 2012 there was going to be a constitutional amendment in Minnesota that would have banned same-sex marriage. And a group called Minnesotans for Marriage Equality contacted me and said, hey, would you like to help us try and defeat this amendment? And I said, yeah, that seems like a good idea. I don't think discrimination should be enshrined in a state's constitution, so I will do what I can. Yeah. And just did some appearances, some talks, like a radio thing for him, and then I wrote a letter on Deadspin that went viral, where I told a Maryland state senator that gay people would not magically turn you into a lustful cock monster, and yeah, after that I got some national exposure. Quite a bit of national exposure, and we ended up defeating the amendment in Minnesota. Happier times. Yes. 6 months later, Minnesota actually legalized same-sex marriage, which was great to see. And that's pretty much how I got kind of like into a prominent activist role, I guess. I mean, up until that point, I had talked with like friends and family, and my Twitter account was, I tried to stand for people who couldn't stand up for themselves, but I would say that was definitely kind of the start of being much more visible in terms of what I was doing.
And what was the response like from the NFL about your speaking out against everything, or for what's right, I guess, essentially? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was a mixed response. In the locker room, it was good. All the guys who came up to me, I'd say well over half the locker room came up to me, and of those guys that came up to me, about 40% were we don't really agree with you on same-sex rights, but we appreciate you speaking out for another player and standing up for First Amendment rights. And then about 60% were like, hey, we think you're doing the right thing, keep it up. And what I found interesting was that very closely mirrored kind of the national polling split at the time of people who were for and against same-sex marriage. It's kind of a 60-40 split in favor of. And it's like a thing I don't think a lot of people understand about the NFL is that the locker room is composed of young men who are, 20, 21, 22, straight out of college, and you can see these societal shifts happening almost in real time. And so, as a whole, the locker room was fine with it because these are guys that had grown up with like gay family members, gay teammates, gay friends. It's the coaching staffs and front offices that tend to be older white men who grew up in 60s, 70s, 80s, and they have a specific worldview, one that Mr. Trump kind of reflects, and the people he's appointing kind of reflect. And it's not nearly as enlightened. So that was where I got a lot of pushback. And more specifically, my special teams coach really did not like that I was speaking out in favor of same-sex rights, and ended up firing me for it. So that was good times.
So that happened, and and so then what? So that actually happened, and what was your response, and what was the response too of the teammates obviously that supported you in what you were doing?
Yeah, so that was the unfortunate thing about that was that I didn't really get a lot of public support when I was fired because it's very easy to get fired in the NFL. Teams can justify firing just about anyone and come up with a believable excuse as to why that happened. So for me, it was like I definitely knew that this was why it happened because my stats had remained the same. I had been very successful with the Vikings. I think I hold almost all their punting records. And, it was something where the only thing that had changed from the previous year to that year was that I started speaking out on this issue. And then all of a sudden, oh, you're not good enough to play anymore. It's like, well, no, I think I'm still playing at the same level as I was the previous 7 years. Nothing's really changed. So that was kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, I understand why guys just kind of keep their silence because there literally is no job like the NFL anywhere else. I mean, you can't walk down the street to the corner NFL office and get a job playing football. It's it's either that or nothing. And for a lot of guys, it's unfortunately the decision they make is they've worked so hard to get to where they're at. They're very leery of risking that at all.
Well, and the average career, I don't know what the numbers are currently, but I know that the average career is only 2 or 3 years for most players, if that.
Yeah, it's 3.5 years, and it's again, if you only have a 3.5 year earning window, then if you risk even 1 or 2 of those years, that's a huge portion of your income.
Yeah, and that's what I had wanted to ask you about that, just because, when you think of how many professional athletes there are, not just in the NFL, but just in general, in our country right now, I mean, to think of, which ones have really been vocal about whether it's different social justice issues like marriage equality, or even just being out as a secular or atheist person, I guess there probably is fear of blowback from I don't know if it's as much fans or I guess people who are running these organizations. So I guess it makes the silence in some ways make sense on a personal life level. But at the same time, I mean, it would be kind of cool if there was more vocal, stuff coming
support.
From the
Yeah, no, well, and the thing for me is that athletes have a rich tradition of driving social change. I mean, you look back through history, you have Kenny Washington, you have Muhammad Ali, you have the Olympics, in Berlin,
the iconic image of the Olympics. Yeah.
There are multiple instances of athletes being able to drive social change. And I think the problem is it's not even so much a sports problem as it is kind of a societal problem in the current world we live in, is that people value profits over the social fabric that allows those profits to exist. And I think we're starting to see the end stages of what that means, because to bring up everyone's favorite orange dumpling.
I was about to say you are describing how
I think we're segueing here. So
we're definitely segueing.
Let's segue. Go for it.
Yeah, so I mean, you look at the election and you have all of these media sites that they fall prey to the golden mean fallacy, where it's like, oh, you have two sides, so both sides must be equal. Both sides must be given equal airtime. It's like, no, that's not how this works. Like, if one side is blatantly lying and false and trying to hurt people, like, you have no obligation to give their point of view any credit whatsoever. And unfortunately, these news stations were like, oh, well, our ratings are going to go up. I think, what was it? CNN posted like $1 billion, profit or something this year, or revenue stream.
Well, because like holy shit, it was like we were watching a reality show train wreck happening.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, we're talking about our fabric of society. Like, we're talking about our democracy. And, it ends up where, okay, if you prioritize profits over what allows those profits to happen, then at some point the whole thing's going to come toppling down, and it won't matter how much money you made in your last quarterly earnings statement, because people are going to be rioting in the streets, and there's not going to be food and water and shelter. Like,
yeah, right, because you're not going to have a bank to put your money
right,
in.
Yeah, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, CNN, you're kind of below the whole survival part.
Well, like we were talking about it before, like watching on election night, you said, Chris, like watching the talking heads on TV, like it was washing over them, this wave of, this is happening.
Yeah, like, oh crap, we actually did it. We actually contributed to this guy being in office. Uh-oh. It's like, maybe you could have come to that realization, 6 months earlier. That would have been nice.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I guess, because I know for me, on election night, and then even more the next day, I would have these moments where I thought to myself, oh, like, Donald Trump has been elected president. Like, he is going to be our president. Like, so for you guys, like, what was your feeling at just thinking that statement, hearing that statement, like, Donald Trump is the president-elect?
Yeah, it's well, I wrote a piece on it where
and we're gonna link to it because I love that piece, and I want you, and I would love for you to kind of talk about your thought process in writing that piece. The processing piece, right, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it is basically just kind of, because I had a bunch of people like in my Twitter mentions saying, hey, can you write something like to help us try and figure out like what happened, what's going on, and and so I wrote a piece where it's like, hey, this is what happened. Like, this is what happens when you ignore the lessons of history, when you let fascists rise to power, when you decide that money is more important than the social good. And for me, I process it and I'm going to fight back, because that's all I know how to do. Like, as a history and poli-sci major, you don't negotiate with fascists. Like, you can't appease them. They will keep taking until there's nothing left. And we're already starting to see that happening, where, Trump's appointment of Stephen Bannon as his chief strategist, like he's literally putting a Nazi in the White House. Like, there's no other way to frame it.
There's nothing, like, I don't even know how to feel about all this, because
you laugh because it's hard to even process and have any other response, because it's so absurd that it's just this dangerous and terrifying.
And the thing is, though, is that like we have to find a way to process it. We have to find a way to come to grips with what our reality now is, but at the same time, we also have to understand what our reality is. And history tells us the lessons of what is going to happen when something like this is your reality. Is, the Nazi Germany didn't start with concentration camps. It started by denigrating the media. It started by building up a state propaganda machine. It started by trying to cow people so that way they wouldn't, rise up against the machine that was getting put into place. Like, this will not happen overnight, but each step will seem logical when we take it. And if we don't fight against it, then that's the end point. Like that is the end point of fascism. And so for me, like, I'm just going to keep trying to point that out to people and show them, hey, here are the historical parallels. And like, the thing, I guess, that really angers me, irks me, makes me sad is that they're not even trying to be subtle about it. Like, they're blatantly showing, yes, this is the game plan that we're following. This is what we want to do. I mean, when you talk about, okay, we're going to appoint, Steve Bannon to have Trump's ear, and then Reince Priebus is going to make the trains run on time. It's like, what the fuck? Come on, people. Like, that's Mussolini's direct quote.
Well, I will say they are being maybe slightly, at least he didn't appoint like David Duke, like in a member of his cabinet, like. So you got to give credit where credit's due, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean,
like, but the fact, like, that you just made that statement as like, this is, well, it could be worse. That's the it could be worse statement. Like,
yeah, right. Like there. I mean, and I hear all these people saying, oh, we got to give him a chance. We don't know what he's going to do. It's like he spent the whole campaign showing you what he's going to do. Like he told you what he's going to do.
But at the same time, we don't know what he's going to do because he's already gone back on. Well, I'm going to leave some of Obamacare together. Oh, the same-sex marriage. That's a done deal. But even though it was settled a year and a half ago, but Roe v. Wade's been settled for decades, so we're going to revisit that. And it's none of it makes sense, and that's what has me at least so scared, is that I'm not scared even for myself because I'm straight, I'm white, I'm a male, like I got everything going for me right now. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, we don't know what he's going to do. We don't know if he's not even consistent with himself.
Yeah, well, and so that's actually another page out of a fascist dictator's playbook, is that you keep people unaware and guessing of what you're going to do, so that way they have no choice but to just constantly be hanging on your every word and hoping that you don't turn on them. And like that's that's a playbook for disaster. I mean, I read today where Trump has been in contact with Putin, right? Mm-hmm. Still hasn't talked to the Department of Defense. Like, he still hasn't gotten any sort of briefings or knowledge about our own military system, but he's willing to chat with the Russian president, who, let's be perfectly honest, is an authoritarian dictator. Like, if that's his role model, well, he's going to start implementing the same things. Like, he's going to start following that same plan. And I mean, when he talks about giving his kids top secret clearance,
I know.
Like,
oh my God, I did not hear that.
Yes. Oh, you have it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He wants to give them clearance, top secret clearance, for the kids, because of course.
Right, and they're the ones supposed to be running his blind trust of businesses.
So isn't this a problem?
Yeah, no, it'll be fine.
I mean, everything's fine. We are just in a burning dumpster fire, and everything is totally fine right now. But yeah, so what? Like, this hasn't happened before.
No, it has in 1930.
Yeah. So, well, there we go.
It hasn't happened in America before, but it's happening now.
Yes. So what is happening in the White House is a little disconcerting. But see, for me, like that's all a problem. Obviously, Trump is a problem just for me personally and what he's doing. But what I have, what's really unsettling is that he was elected by, like, all of these people voted for him. So what does that say about the state of our country?
Yeah, well, it tells us that a quarter of the people in our country have no idea what history is, and they have no idea what their own self-interests are, because the huge problem, and this is what's going to end up happening, is that Trump has promised those people that he is going to return their jobs, but those jobs are never coming back. Like, when he promises coal miners he's going to return their jobs, those jobs aren't coming back. Like, you're not going to get those coal mining jobs back because the world has moved to renewable energy sources. Like, there's a reason oil is in a depression right now, is because it's turned out renewable energy is actually worth something, and it's making money, and people want to invest in it. Like, when he tells factory workers, I'm going to bring your jobs back, that's not going to happen because those jobs already left. Like, those jobs are in India, and no American worker is going to work for those wages. Like, and so what's going to end up happening is that 24% of America that voted for Trump, that they want to return to a golden age when everything was better, they're going to start getting angry when it doesn't materialize, and then Trump's going to have to find a way to deflect that anger. And true to fascists everywhere, he's going to deflect it onto an other, whether that's Muslims, whether that's Mexicans, whether it's immigrants in general, whether it's women, whether it's gay people. He's going to find a scapegoat, and he's going to say, hey, these are the people who are causing you your problems. Do something about it. And then people are going to do something about it. And that's where you start moving into the ghettos and the concentration camps. And like, again, this playbook is not new. Like it's all been done before. So we need to recognize that as a country and take steps to stop it now, as opposed to waiting for the bus to go careening off the cliff. And then as we're plummeting through the air, finally figuring out, oh, maybe we should do something about this.
Well, yeah, because that's the question now, because I feel like a lot of people, which is good, that, the fact that this happened it's fucked up, it's kind of confusing, whatever, but it's like, okay, well, what do we do now? Because it's not time to just sit around and wait and be like, oh, let's see if, he becomes what? Great president overnight? No. Like
he doesn't even
he doesn't
understand
know.
like what all's involved, and had to have like Obama like coach him on,
right.
You have to do XYZ.
So that's another story that is slightly terrifying, is the fact that Trump's team didn't know that they're going to be the ones that have to staff the White House when he takes over.
Yeah.
And so that means they need to find 4,000 people, and I believe 1,250 of which will have to be, will have to clear Senate confirmation hearings, because they'll be in sensitive positions. And if you look at Trump's campaign, he had a lot of surrogates and a lot of people speaking for him who ended up being Nazis. They weren't vetted at all.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's going to change.
So we need to find this many people that are not Nazis to put in the way. Like,
I can imagine him just looking around going, anybody?
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
honestly, even Ben Carson doesn't want to work for the guy at this point. It's like,
right. And when Ben Carson doesn't want to work for you,
you're kind of fucked.
Yeah,
Ben Carson
that canary
also,
is dead in that coal mine.
Didn't Ben Carson also say, I don't have enough experience in politics?
Right. He wanted to be
like
president.
The former presidential candidate.
Yeah. It's good you recognize that now, Ben. That's cheering for all of us. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, the thing is though, is that like right now people need to be prepared for what's going to happen. And like, I hate talking like this because it makes me sound like some sort of doomsday prepper.
Oh, I know.
Like, oh, the world's falling down, find your bunker and your food. But like, the fact is that people do need to start preparing for this. Like, people need to be prepared to have their networks of, people that they trust, people that they contact. You need to secure your communications. Like, you need to learn about two-factor authentication. You need to learn about cryptography, because let's not forget that we have created a surveillance state. Like, the NSA is watching everything, and very shortly it's going to be under Trump's control. And the intelligence community has a motto that the president is the first customer. So what he asks for, he's likely going to get. And everything he's asked for in the past makes me think that we don't want him asking for things from the NSA. But unfortunately, that's going to be the case. So, people just need to understand that, like, we're moving into very dangerous times. There are steps you can take to protect yourself, to protect your loved ones, but then you also have to be ready to help other people. I mean, because when that inevitable backlash comes, when he picks out an other for someone, to take the fall because he's not able to implement the promises he made, we have to be ready to help those people, whether it's sheltering them, whether it's donating money, whether it's donating supplies, whatever that happens to be, that time is going to come. So mentally get prepared for that, financially get prepared for that.
And so, like, what does now look like? I mean, we're a week out from election. Like, there's obviously a climate of what the fuck is going on, right? Among a lot of people, and so
and we're talking about Trump's team himself too.
Yeah,
He's never wondering what's going on.
Nobody knows what's going on. I mean, really, like, I don't think he expected to get elected, probably.
Right.
But it's happening.
Yeah. And so for me, the concerning things are that the GOP leadership is not taking a stand against him because they think they can use him to push back on Obamacare and do things that they want to do. But what they're failing to understand is that they thought they could control him during the primaries, and look how that turned out. They thought they could control him during the election. Look how that turned out. If they think they can control him now, like, that's not going to happen. I mean, he'll go along with them on some stuff, but there's going to come a point where Trump's going to say, nope, I've got all the people loyal to me and all the positions I need them to be, and guess what? I'm going to do whatever I want. And the GOP is not going to be able to do a thing about it because they helped him get there. And that to me is the concerning part, where, you know, people like Paul Ryan should be taking a stand against Donald Trump, not saying, welcome to a new unified republic. Like, could we get the Imperial March playing behind that?
I know.
What blows me away too is they're saying, well, we all need to come together as a nation. Yeah. But 4 years ago, 8 years ago, you know, we still had people debating if Obama was actually born here, or if he was born in Kenya, or if he's a Muslim or not. And it's like they don't, like you said earlier, they don't understand history. They have no memory of anything bad that's happened to them in the past. They only remember the good things, and that's how they get to the point that they're at now.
Right. And like just today, Paul Ryan was asked if he had, you know, a statement to make on the appointing of Steve Bannon. And Paul Ryan said, you know, I'm not looking back. I'm working, you know, with people. And it's just like, okay, you're not looking back. What does that even mean, other than betraying a depressing lack of knowledge on the entirety of human existence?
But really though, isn't like past behavior a predictor of future?
Yeah,
and history, you know, can, like, as trite as it sounds, repeat itself, and we don't want that.
Right, like, and that's the thing, that so many people are like, oh, but, you know, there's a chance he'll change. And when you look at history, there have been 0 cases of people who had impulse problems and like to wield power capriciously. Once they got more power, they didn't suddenly become a better person. Like, that never happens. So to think that somehow, oh, now that Trump's the most powerful person in America, oh yeah, that'll soothe him. You know, that'll calm him down.
He got what he wanted. He's gonna chill. It's just gonna be awesome. Like,
right?
Super,
yeah, it's
easy.
like. Yeah. No, like this is a man who has made his life off of, you know, he has grudges against people, and he tries to settle them in any way possible. I mean, when he ran housing projects in the 70s, like, the government had to sue him because he wasn't allowing black people to live in the houses that they were qualified to live in. I mean, he has an entire history of pattern of behavior that has not changed. Like, Donald Trump is in it for Donald Trump, and based on everything he said during his campaign, I don't see any of that changing, and that's going to be devastating for our nation.
And so did he somehow people just bought this promise of hope and this Make America Great thing, and just were able to disqualify all of the other things, like whether it's pussy grabbing or like the racism that just sort of exists, and the sexism and Mike Pence and all of that. Like, people just were like, okay, I don't care about that stuff, but we're going to make America great. Like, that's the part that really concerns me, that people have bought it.
Right. Well, and when you look at it, that's the textbook way of how fascists rise to power, is that they will tell you, hey, your life sucks. Like, your life's not good right now, and I can fix it. They won't tell you how they're going to fix it. Yeah. They'll just say, trust me, and I'll fix it.
Like, subjective goals.
Right. And you have the cult of personality around that person. And, you know, for whatever reason, Trump is charismatic. Like, people buy into his whole, you know, oh, he just speaks his mind. You know, he tells it like it is.
And what he says is fucking awful.
Right, yeah. And like, yeah, he does speak his mind. He's a horrible human being. But for a lot of people, they buy into it, you know, for whatever their own personal reasons. And they're willing to overlook the disgusting parts of him, because they feel that it won't apply to them. Like, they feel that they're safe. You know, Trump will make America great again for them. It doesn't matter if it hurts a bunch of other people, whatever. All they care about is they can become, you know, powerful or successful again. And again, it's a textbook fascist rise to power. Like, that's how Hitler did it. That's how Mussolini did it. You know, that's how Franco did it. Like, that this is how it happens. And it's happening again. And, like, we need to figure out as a country, how are we going to stop it? Because really that's the game plan now, is how do we stop this? And, for me, we need to be peaceful at first. Like, it's, you always start with peaceful protest. You try to change it peacefully. But if history is any indication, and history is usually a very good indication, there will come a point where peacefulness will turn over to violence, because there will be no other option. Like, you can argue with a fascist all you want, but at the end of the day, they're going to do what they want to do. And at that point, then you have to decide, okay, am I going to fight this, or am I just going to go silent and not do anything anymore? So that's unfortunately where I think we're headed. And, it's not going to come super quick. I mean, it'll probably take like a year, 2 years, but that is where we're headed. And people should start wrapping their minds around that now, so that they're prepared when it does happen. They're ready to recognize the threat that it is and not try to normalize it.
And I think it's important to remind people that there's everybody that's saying Michelle Obama or whoever in 2020, there is an election in 2018. And so we have 2 years where we can, potentially change Congress and not have the Republicans or conservatives or whoever. I don't even know. We have the right, we have the alt-right, then we...
where are we living?
That's a topic of another podcast. But, I mean, there's another election, so we need people to just vote.
Yeah, yeah.
It's literally like the least you can do to affect the future of your country.
Right, and so that's another big thing, is that, like, Hillary won the popular vote, but the votes that Trump did win were 24% of the country. Like, that means 50% of the country didn't vote, and that's what fascists rely on. They rely on that silent majority not doing anything to stop them. So if during 2018, 25% of that 50% comes out and votes against them, it will be overwhelming, sweeping victories against fascism. But people have to do it. Like, they have to understand that this isn't a time that you can just sit on the sidelines and hope things get better. Like, you actually have to take action to make things better. Otherwise, it's not going to change.
And that's honestly like the minimum action that you like. It doesn't take that much to go to your polling place and cast your votes. So everybody I know. Yeah.
That depends on where you live, though.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that actually has been one of the things that the Republican Party has really been working on, is suppressing votes in areas where they know they're vulnerable. Yeah. And it goes against everything that this country has been founded on. And it's, well, I mean, not everything, because we did start as a slave-owning country, but it goes against the ideals that we were founded on. And it's something that people need to understand, is that, like, it might be tough to get out and vote, but, like, you have to do it. And we have to support people who are doing that.
That's what I was going to say. So then maybe that's then a big goal of the 2018 elections, is trying to find ways to get as many people as possible. Right. Because there have to be people that can help with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, build up support networks where, like, if it's a poorer area where people can't take a day off work to go vote, if they have financial aid, like, if there's a way we can chip in and help them out, or, even sub in for them for a day on the job, like something like that, like, where they can
and
go
I even
vote.
know here in Indiana, at least, I've in my city, I live in Indianapolis, we were able to early vote even on Saturdays. Like, so you could go Saturday morning.
Yeah, and just, like, pushing for that kind of stuff, because if we don't, the voter suppression stuff is only going to get worse. Like, there's no way it's not going to get worse with the Republicans in control of both houses of Congress and the presidency. Like, they don't have quite a blank check, but if they're not stopped in 2018, then they absolutely will have a blank check.
Well, and that's a confirmation to them that they're doing the right thing too, if they get reelected.
Right. And the thing is, like, it doesn't even have to be a confirmation of them. It just has to be people not willing to stand up to them, and they will take that as a confirmation.
Well, and that's why I think kind of the fire that people feel right now needs to just keep going and continuing and, moving to 2018. And then we think beyond. But this isn't just something that, we kind of just get mad about for a couple weeks and then totally chill out on. Like...
Right. Yeah. Like this is something that people. I think I tweeted yesterday. It was like this isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. Like
this isn't. We're not talking about the color of a dress here. So we can stay mad about it for more.
Yeah. Exactly. And the thing is, like, it is also important, though, to have self-care for yourself. Like, it is a marathon. You will need to take care of yourself. There may be some days where you're just like, man, this really sucks. This is really hard. I just want to step away for a bit. And that's okay. Like, if stepping away for 2 days allows you to go hard as you can for another 2 weeks, then by all means take those 2 days, because the big worry is that people are going to get burnt out early and then just say, well, we haven't seen any immediate change. This is useless. What can I do? And like, you're not going to see any immediate change. Like this is a fight that's going to take a while. So, again, mentally be prepared for that. Know that there are things you can do to take care of yourself, that, find support networks, find people that can help you out, and just be prepared. God, now I sound like freaking, right-wing talk show radio host. It's so depressing.
Well, we can fix that. We can fix it. The last, just real quick, last thing I want to talk about. I was actually out today at a restaurant and looked up and happened to see you on Outside the Lines today. And I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to talk to that guy tonight. How cool is this? But you were advocating, of course, you're a member of the Gridiron Cannabis Coalition and advocating for the NFL to allow, or I guess relax its rules surrounding marijuana. And I know Nally and I are both in favor of recreational use. It's demonstrably safer to use than alcohol, and just from a personal standpoint, but also from a societal standpoint. So we wanted to give you just a couple minutes here just to talk about that and share your thoughts or promote it.
Sure. Yeah.
Promote
Smoke
it.
weed every day. Yeah. No. Well. For me, the thing is that like I want us to be able to do basic science on something. Like the only way you can do science is if you put forward a hypothesis and then you test it. And right now we have a hypothesis that cannabis can help with pain management. It can help players both while they're playing and then once they're done. And it could probably help a lot of other people too. But we can't test it because the government has it as a Schedule I drug. Like that goes against everything that science is supposed to be. It's like we should be working to figure out, okay, are there beneficial compounds in this? And we might find out that there aren't any beneficial compounds. We might find out that, okay, hey, maybe it's just a good alternative to alcohol for people who don't want to drink. And that's fine too. Like, but without being able to test it, without being able to study something, we'll never know. So that's why I'm involved, is that like I think it can help players, because I've seen a lot of guys using it and they use it for pain management. A lot of guys also use it recreationally. Yeah. And I also think it's hypocritical for us as a country to say, okay, we'll give you Vicodin, we'll give you Percocets, go drink, go smoke tobacco, but when it comes to cannabis, nope, you can't use that.
Oh, and even what blows me away is cocaine is a Schedule II drug. So what they're saying is that marijuana is more dangerous than cocaine. Right,
exactly. And the reason why is because cocaine is a rich white person's drug. That's the only reason why. And it's just I know why it is the way it is, but it's something, again, that I want to fight against, because I think that people are better than that, and people should be better than that, and people need to accept just the fundamental scientific theory of you put forward your hypothesis and then you test it. It doesn't matter what it is, that's what you do. I mean, whether it be politics, whether it be, geological sciences, whether it be cannabis, you have to test it and you have to have controlled tests, and then you can actually try to make some sense of the data. But if you don't have the data to begin with, then you're never going to know.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
I think so. But again, like, one of the reasons we wanted to have you on the show, obviously, is because you speak your mind. And we obviously right now the world needs a lot of people speaking their minds and standing up for, what they believe in. And so, like, thank you for what you're doing. And I think, it's inspiring, and hopefully people who are listening kind of all feel like fired up too, to kind of fight the long fight and go for this marathon that we are headed for.
It's all I know how to do. I mean, the world I want to live in is one where I'm free to do what I want to do, but in order to live in that world, I have to make sure everyone else has that same freedom. Like, that's the only way it works.
I mean,
Yeah, if enough people buy into that, then we will live into that. We'll live in that world. But people got to buy into it, and they have to understand why it's so important to fight for other people, even when you yourself won't be affected by something.
Well, it's not just being good to ourselves, it's being good to each other, because then we create this place that works for everybody. Ideally.
Right. It's the idea of reciprocity. I mean, I wouldn't want you to tell me how to live my life in a way that hurts me, so I shouldn't do the same thing to you. And, most every major religion, the golden rule is the backbone of that religion. So it doesn't matter if you're religious, doesn't matter if you're atheist, doesn't matter if you're agnostic. Treat other people the way you want to be treated is a pretty good way to live your life.
Pretty decent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I got one last question for you here. What is your favorite WoW expansion?
Favorite WoW expansion, probably Burning Crusade. It was I played vanilla up through about halfway through Cataclysm because my raiding guild stopped during Cataclysm. But Burning Crusade was great, and then Wrath of the Lich King was okay. I didn't think it was quite as good as Burning Crusade was, but there was also some BS in Burning Crusade though. Like some of those raids were total horseshit.
Yeah.
I mean, freaking Mount Hyjal. Let's never do that again.
I didn't start playing until nearly midway through midway through Wrath.
Okay.
But definitely enjoyed Wrath much more than Cataclysm, and even now in Legion, I'm just kind of like, I think what killed it for me is the looking for raid feature. But we could again, that's a topic of another podcast.
Yeah. It's I had to stop playing WoW when I had kids because it was either raid or take care of your children, and one of those is probably more important than the other.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking some time tonight to talk to us. If we want to see, hear, read more about you, where do we go to do that?
You can find me on Twitter at Chris Warcraft, and that is pretty much the only place I'm at because I'm not really a fan of Facebook.
Well, the Twitter feed's worth it.
So if you want to hear whatever random thoughts are going through my mind, at Chris Warcraft, and then have a book out. It's called Prime. Another book called Beautifully Unique Sparkle Ponies, and then I'm working on a tabletop card game that's going to be somewhat similar to Magic the Gathering, but some unique twists that I threw in because I'm a huge nerd at heart, and I wanted to fix some of the problems I saw with Magic. That's called Twilight of the Gods, and we're looking at releasing that next year.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and hope to have you back sometime in maybe happier times.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, maybe.
Once the resistance is successful, let me know.
We'll talk to you again. Yeah.
Yep. Sounds good.
Bye.
All right, thanks.
So this week, the reason we love the internet. A few weeks ago, we did not like the internet because of the state of Florida, but I think, does it avenge? I don't know that it could ever avenge itself after. But
can you do you want to read this headline?
Well, yeah, it's the state of Florida is the reason we love the internet.
Let's set it up.
Week.
Yeah, because this is a groundbreaking story that's come out of the state of Florida.
This is
quite
big possibly
news. This is big
quite
news.
Possibly the best headline
ever.
Ever. I don't know that I don't know that you can make a better headline. Like even if you made up news.
No, this is
couldn't make this up.
No, this is peak internet headline. It's all
we have reached peak internet. This is it.
We have reached peak internet.
It's all.
So go.
It's all shit from here.
Read it.
So the headline is
Read it.
Florida man. I'm already in love with it. Florida man who changed his name to Harambe Jr. arrested. And why do you think he was arrested?
Just say it, because I'm gonna start laughing. Just say it.
For indecent exposure.
Because Dick's out for Harambe.
That's the joke.
This is real.
So my
this
man,
is not fake. This is not
Harambe
fake news.
Jr. Harambe Jr.'s at a bar, orders a bunch of shots, goes, oops, I don't have money, gets kicked out, and after he's kicked out, I have to assume he's drunk. Takes his pants off, starts waving his dick around, shouting, "Dicks out for Harambe." I feel like that's bashing people over the head. I think at most he should be just soliciting people. Will you please put your dick out for me? And then when they say why,
he's like, I just want to wave it.
Because I'm Harambe. And then they'll go, oh well, shit, I have to now. Like, it's state law.
But hold on, no. But he's Harambe Jr. Nobody ever said dicks out for Harambe Jr.
They did not.
No one ever said it.
They did not. And I'm not sure Harambe Jr. would put his dick out for Harambe Sr. Because technically Harambe lives through him at this point.
Yeah. So I can't believe that this was a real internet headline. I can't believe somebody changed his name to Harambe Jr.
I mean, it's fucking Florida. Like, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they?
He's probably not the only one. You know he's not the only one.
No offense to our listeners in Florida, but like your state. I mean, and I'm saying this as somebody that lives in Indiana. So I mean, you live in Pennsylvania. I'm in a glass house. I can't throw stones.
But Harambe Jr.
One of the best things about this whole thing, like, it doesn't make any sense, and that's the entire fucking point, is that it's not supposed to make any sense. None of the Harambe memes, none of it's supposed to make sense. It's nonsensical.
Can I just say the other thing that's making me laugh about this whole thing?
Yeah, well, I'm getting to it. I'm setting it up here.
Well, no, when you click on the link, it's not even a picture of Harambe Jr. It's a picture of the gorilla Harambe. Like, the picture accompanying the story. I guess. But he's just looking at me
the best part about all this is when people who don't understand that it's about nothing try to explain it, or like they talk about it in terms that it's like, you have no fucking idea like what this is about, do you? And like the last couple sentences of this article, and we'll link to it in the notes, says, in the months since the death of Harambe, he has been something of an internet sensation, with the puzzling trend of online users paying tribute to the gorilla with the phrase, "Dicks out for Harambe." And it's like, okay. And then he goes, like, last two sentences, it is believed, grammar, it is believed that this meme began after a Twitter user posted an image with a caption, "We coming with them dicks out to avenge Harambe." Like, they even have the extra exclamation marks. God. And then the last sentence, it is unclear what prompted the link between the male sex organ and the death of a gorilla. Or maybe this person like totally gets it, and they're being, I think
they get it.
They get it, and they're being so like, I don't get it, that it makes it funny. Oh my gosh, I just got Harambe'd.
I think we got Harambe'd, and I think
it will never not be funny. I'm sorry, it's been 7 months, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't even know. Who cares? Yeah, it will never not be funny. It will never not be funny.
Harambe was that like little bit of sunshine that made us all laugh in 2016. Oh wait, but that's awful to say because he's dead. Okay, I'm really sorry. I'm a terrible person.
we got what, 26 days left, 25 days.
Yeah.
At this point, we're recording on Monday the 5th.
Yeah. We can make it, right?
I don't know.
Everybody, I guess, just take your dicks out for Harambe just in case.
I mean, we, like last week, I know Stephen Hawking was in the hospital. Buzz Aldrin had to get taken out of the Antarctic base they have down there. So
I don't know. It all goes back to David Bowie.
2016,
I think.
like, you can't.
No.
Can't take these people from us.
I know. Well, they took Harambe, but in return we got a lot of laughs.
It gave us Harambe.
It gave us
I didn't have any idea who the fuck he was before.
I didn't know
this
either.
Year.
Just a gorilla.
2016 gave us Harambe. Thank you, 2016, for the one thing you did right. And on that note, thank you for listening to the Science Enthusiast podcast. If you enjoyed listening, please give us 5 stars on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever you're using to listen to us in your ear holes. If you have comments or suggestions or hate mail or love letters, you can reach us at podcast@ascienceenthusiast.com and check out a full archive on the website. Check out the page, my page, The Science Enthusiast, Natalie's page, Skeptical Parenting. And if you really like the show, please consider checking out our Patreon page at patreon.com/TSE podcast to get access to premium content, extended interviews, and early interviews, and just kind of random thoughts that I put there sometimes. We know that not everybody can contribute, and that's totally cool, but we definitely appreciate those of you that do, including, but not limited to, that doesn't make any sense, James, Alice, all 4 of the Michaels, Chris, Sarah, Janet, Amanda, Astrid, Andrew, Jeff, Susan, and Trevor. Natalie, hit us with a quote.
Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And that is Martin Luther King Jr. Thought that'd be a good one for our Chris Kluwe episode, right?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing him say in that, what I interpret that to be, is we should all really focus on Donald Trump tweeting about a comedy show, and yeah, who cares about what he did with Taiwan or corporate welfare and with the carrier deal? Like, who cares about that? I mean, that shit is boring. Let's worry about these, 1 a.m. tweets that he's sending about a comedy show.
Totally.
Lose our shit over that.
No sarcasm there at all. No, not at all. All right, so another good show this week. Next week we have Matthew O'Neill, our friend Matthew, who recorded a great interview with us already. Spoiler alert, it's already done and it's good. Matthew
you do that
wrote,
every time. You
I know.
ruin the mystique of the show. We set this up so it sounds like it's like all happening one action-packed night. Not that we recorded Chris Kluwe like 3-4 weeks ago.
I know. I like letting our listeners know about our process. We're just transparent here. We're all about that.
But now they're going to think that they can do their own podcast and they don't need us anymore.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, but we just do this for ourselves anyways, to talk to our friends and cool people. So Matthew wrote a really great book called Afterlife, and it talks about, well, kind of a scientific view of the afterlife, and spoiler alert, it doesn't exist, but we talked a lot with Matthew about that for our next episode. So he will be our guest next week. We'll be back with some of the other stupid shit that we say, and yeah, it's been fun again, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still alive after that coughing fit that you had that no one will get to hear. So that's good. It would be super awkward if you died while we were recording this, because then, it would still be recording on your end because I can't turn it off. So your death would just be recorded. I'm not totally a nihilist meme brought to life. I'm not just going to take pleasure in your pain.
Well, no, it's not. That's not what it's not about taking pleasure. It's just acknowledging that it exists.
Accepting nothingness and death, and that we all just go. Yeah.
And that's, but also the irony behind, basically what, inspirational tardigrade is, turned into a nihilist page.
Yeah, we just kind of took it in that direction, and, I don't want to bring it back.
I don't either. It's kind of the goal was to be sarcastically inspirational or whatever,
yeah.
But, there's not a lot of content out there that's fresh like that. It's hard to come up with something like that.
And
but also,
I used my good ones early on. I used some of my, almost real, not inspirational, but just oh, that's nice. But now it's just well, fuck it.
Every once in a while we try to do that, but now it's just I don't give a shit.
What I have on my phone is just, it's demotivational and whatever. People like that. Everyone likes that, really.
Mostly it's become just
a
a cross-posting. It's a cross-post page at this point for all of our other pages, and then
for our little network of
you probably shouldn't admit to
the corner of the internet.
Half the internet here, or half of at least the
Facebook
skeptic side of Facebook.
Yeah, but it's fun. it's fun to have places to just like throw some of that shit like that you find in weird places. And yeah, I mean, even my skeptical parenting page, it's like I post articles, I post memes, and then every once in a while I just like post a cat with something weird because the internet. I don't even like cats that much, but I know the internet likes cats. So just to be able to have that audience where if you have something to say or like you want to share something that somebody else has said really well, just to know that it
subsequently be immediately told to shut up and sit down.
well, there's also that.
I finally know what it's like to be a woman. Kind of, not really, but maybe like 5%.
But yes, there is that, because you're always wrong on the internet anyways, right? Like everyone's always kind of wrong, but still you have all of those like eyes that could see what you put onto their timeline, and that's a cool thing to have that big of an audience.
Yeah, that's definitely cool to me. What's even cooler is just having that platform and the ability to help out others, and that are much smarter and much better at this than I am, to give them that extra exposure and hopefully funnel some more attention in their direction. Because I mean, sweet zombie baby Jesus knows I don't deserve any of it. So
remaining humble is good.
Yeah, I mean, I view it as self-deprecating, but
I'm the one, right? I have to put the positive spin on things, so that's what I do. Humble.
All right. Well, I am going to go probably do nothing, because all I did this past weekend was
house
home
stuff.
improvement. I am so fucking tired of owning a house, and I've only owned this house for 3 weeks?
Well,
not even.
Yeah, well, I think I'm gonna go and watch Westworld. Last night I tried to watch like last week's episode, but I took NyQuil first, so I fell asleep 30 minutes in. So tonight I'm gonna not take the NyQuil until after I've watched Westworld, because I think no. Are you serious, dude? It's good. Watch it.
That is the opposite of how to get me to do something, because I'm even too hipster to label myself hipster, and I fucking hate it about myself.
Yeah.
And like the harder you like, no, you have to do. I'm not going to watch Stranger Things.
All right.
Probably
fine.
for another year or two. I did watch Breaking Bad until it'd been over with for like 3 years, and then the entire time I watched it, I'm like, why the fuck didn't I watch this? Whatever it was like current, but I mean, no.
So okay, let me give you my description, though, of what Westworld is. And maybe in your mind, you'll be like, oh, this is something I'll watch in 5 years. It's like the movie Ex Machina mixed with Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good description. And you don't have to like it. You don't have to watch it. I'm just throwing it out there for you. Like in 5 years, when you're like, I want to watch a show, you'll be like, oh, yeah, Natalie told me about Westworld 5 years ago. There you go.
5 years ago, I might be dead. So.
Dude. All right, go sit and do nothing. I'm gonna go do that, and we'll see everybody next week. Not see you. You'll listen to us next week.
You'll put us in your heads.
Put us in your heads again next week.
In a consensual manner.
The music you heard tonight was written and performed by Adam Johnson and was used with his permission. You can contact Adam at AdamJohnsonDC@gmail.com. This podcast is property of Not Narrow or Straight LLC, all rights reserved.